Hello.
Hi, Mr. Arun Gandhi.
Hi.
Um, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Really good, thank you. My name's Han Yan,
And my name's Jerry.
and
Hi, Jerry.
we'll be asking you on a few questions about Gandhi.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry, you
So,
start.
how are you related to Mr. Gandhi?
I'm his grandson. My father was his second son.
Oh, okay. You got that down? And do how much do you remember him?
I remember quite a lot because I lived with him for 2 years between the age of 12 and 14. And he taught me many things during that time. And so I remember a lot about that.
Okay, so do you remember any news about his salt march, or were you present during any of his fastings?
No, by the time I went to him, all his fasts and marches were over, and India was about to get independence. So there were no fasting. And I didn't experience any fasting.
Yes. And can you tell me a story about an interaction with your grandfather, like what you did with him?
Well, he created a big community, and there were about 300 people living together as one big community there. So I was one of them, but because I was his grandson and because I was living with him alone without my parents, he paid some special attention to me, and particularly because I came from South Africa, where I was a victim of prejudices and I was beaten up by whites and blacks because they didn't like the color of my skin. And it filled me with a lot of anger, and I didn't know how to deal with that anger. I wanted to fight back again. And that's when he taught me that anger is like electricity. It is just as useful and just as powerful, but only if we use it intelligently. But it can be just as deadly and destructive if we abuse it. So just as we channel electrical energy and bring it into our lives and use it for the good of humanity, we must learn to channel anger in the same way so that we can use that energy for the good of humanity rather than abuse it and cause death and destruction. And he showed me ways in which to do this, writing an anger journal, but write the journal with the intention of finding a solution to the problem and then commit yourself to finding a solution. Today a lot of people do write an anger journal, but they just pour their anger out into the journal, and so every time they go back and read the journal, they're just reminded of the incident, and they get angry all over again. So pouring the anger out into the journal doesn't help. What
Yes,
helps is that while you are writing the cause of the anger, you are also trying to figure out what a solution would be.
Okay, thank you. Did he ever preach nonviolence inside your family?
Well, he didn't preach, but he practiced it. Inside the family, we never had any punishments or any expression of anger or anything. And, the nonviolent parenting was that my parents, when we misbehaved in any way, they did penance. They didn't punish us. And the penance took the form of fasting for a day or 2 days, depending on how serious the offense was. They would sit at the dining table, they would feed us and all that, but they wouldn't eat tell us that they are not eating because they were not good parents and they didn't teach us the right way of behavior. And so because the relationship between the parents and children was based on mutual love and respect, we felt awful when our parents had to do that, but we made sure that we didn't do it again. So what they did was, instead of controlling us through fear of punishment and so on, they controlled us through love.
Yes.
And I think that makes a very big difference.
Yes. Thank you. And does your grandfather influence what you do today?
Yes, I think in many ways both my grandparents and my parents, so what they did and what they taught us, and makes a big difference in my life, and I try to practice it with my own children and with the rest of humanity.
Yes.
How the public knows Gandhi and how we're taught to believe what he does, is it a very exact sort of image of how he actually was?
No, not really, because what image is put forth outside is very limited. Mostly people have written books about his political activities and so on. And so his personal, relationships at his personal side has not come out so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time, Mr. Gandhi.
I hope you have enough material for your project, and I wish you good luck.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.